No one understands how printing came about. My generation, when I first born, it was already inkjet. It's not like now you click on the computer, everything is instantly 1 second. I often say, understanding letterpress printing is actually understanding the history. Everything in typography or graphic design came from letterpress. Hi, my name is Yao Yu. I'm the founder of Typesettingsg. It's a traditional letterpress studio started in 2014. This is our 10th year in the business. Everything begins during my school days in RMIT. I started as a hipster, so as a visual communication student, one of the project was on craftsmanship. So I chose letterpress. The tactile touch, the finishing of it actually attracted me, and I started to go into understanding the process, the history, the culture, and start to save our own local Singapore printing heritage. So the main challenge in setting up Typesettingsg when I first started up is there's basically nothing. I have zero knowledge in the printing process. It's just my own interest in it. Nothing actually has been sort of passed down. Eventually, we start to go into the light industry area, locking door on all the old printers, and I'll take notes. So over the years, when they close down, I'll go in and try and save whatever I can and slowly build this studio. So the past 10 years, we have saved printing equipment from over 10 print shops. So that's how we still have some of the last remaining printing heritage survive in Singapore. So this is a traditional type cabinet used by the old printers in Singapore. So these are the drawers of metal types, and this will be the type case itself, where you have the lowercase on the left side and the uppercase on the right side. The lowercase are arranged in the way the most frequent used letters are in the center, the seldom used are in the side, and the capital letters is in the sequence. So the printers will use a composing stick and start to pick up letters like this. When we talk about printing heritage, we're talking about the printing process, the history, the culture, the printing blocks, the equipments, how printing was done, as manual as it is, as well as the unique letterpress setup in Singapore, where we have the multilingual languages formed together. A label could have 4 languages printed. Okay, that's something kind of not so often seen overseas, like the English, Jawi, Tamil, and Chinese, and they are all using different systems and also the fuse of the cultural visual communication language. So that's something that we wanted to sort of preserve and to pass down to the younger audience. So these are name cards typeset locally by the old printers. So you can see some of the traditional layouts for name cards. It's our small printing block corner, horizon talisman, ghost money printing plate, the script, the sans serif and the serif. All this has a story, has some culture in it, has a history behind it. In fact, printing is one of the most important inventions that changed human history. And it has been around in Singapore for almost 201 years. Letterpress is actually the fundamental for graphic design and typography, but this was not taught in a school. The Chinese typeface in our computer is actually designed in Singapore and Malaysia, but there's not much effort put in preserving the past printing history. Period of time whereby Asia are throwing everything as scrap metals. In the West, they are saving everything as part of the heritage or converting into museum. So during that period of time, it's a surviving mode for Asia. So that's why printing heritage is more like a luxury. There's no much of a space or dedicated museum to showcase this form of printing to the younger audience. So what is remaining is actually the last few old uncles who still kept on with the old printing press. They will be the last generation. So if they retire, they close down, this traditional letterpress will sort of phase out in Singapore totally. So the studio was set up so that we can have this perspective passed down to the younger audience. So what I do is actually I customize a workshop for students to go through the whole process of letterpress printing. This studio is one of the only printing letterpress studio that is able to conduct workshop in the whole Asia. So that's why the studio actually attracts a lot of other overseas participants. Okay, how we do the printing is through a set of rollers. Okay, so when I do this action, the roller goes up, it captures the ink. And when it goes down, the ink onto the metal type is just nice. And then you put the paper, then after that you go to do the printing all the way. So this is how printing is done, one color at a time, one paper at a time. Participants actually they felt like this is a very therapeutic way of spending their weekends 3-4 hours, and at the end of it they get a piece of their own design metal types. So when I first started, I actually list a lot of my workshop contents on experience hosting website. So these are the ones that actually helped me to push my workshops to the wider audience. Then I also joined some of the free market to promote the workshop. We also do exhibitions, and also set up my own Instagram page and my Facebook to promote this form printing to the younger audience. Keeping the craft of the printing process relevant in modern day context, we are more into selling the story, the experience that the younger one can experience as a typographer of the day. So they themselves are the typographer. In the olden days, typographer is referred to someone who sets the types. Like in the modern day context, is referred to those type designers already low into typography. The challenge is, of course, is definitely the interest for this form of printing in Singapore is still very, very low. We don't really have much interest, especially also from the design community. Maybe because this generation of designers have never seen this before. So it's a little bit hard for us to reach out to the school, because all this actually has been slowly phased out in the design school as well. So it is a little bit hard for us to gain support and to have a sustainable income to maintain the studio. Is actually one of the struggles in Singapore. In fact, the main income of this studio is actually my freelance graphic design work. What the studio is able to generate is not able to have a sustainable income source, because all this interest for this form of printing is actually hard to predict. And in fact, the last few years, most of the interest is actually from overseas. So we do have a struggle in keeping afloat, the studio afloat.
What's your favorite part about it?
The favorite part is I got to know all this, all the printing equipment that I have in the studio. And if I need anything, I'll know where to get it, and I can compose and do my own design. And as well as digging into the old industry to find new stuff, or to find new informations on the printing heritage in Singapore. It's just a one person doing this, so it is still a very niche thing in Singapore. And if there's a community, if there are more people who are into this as me, of course, it might push this studio further. But the interest for this is still not that great for us to continue as a studio. And as well as the rental increase, so unless it's backup, unless it's a community collective effort, else it will still be the same endings. In fact, this studio we tried to end in 2016. Same reason, it's just not practical. But just we found a cheaper rental approach, and that's why we still continue another almost 6-7 years. Okay. June will be the last operating month, and the emotion have not impacted me yet. I have yet to feel any of it, because maybe I'll still be around. The studio will still be around in the better options, or worse will be at most in the stories. So it's still hard to predict. It's just that I won't be able to continue doing this in a daily basis. Maybe I'll miss touching some of the types or using the machines. No, but I'll still be around. Yeah, the heritage will still be around.